Hey guys, what's up? Sermo11 here. Today I will be discussing the prices of everything concerning the Nintendo Switch 2. So that'll be the console itself, which I already did a video on, and also the accessories and some of the games for the console as well, and how much will all of that cost really. Now, I've done a few videos on the Nintendo Switch 2 in the last few days, and this is probably going to be the last one for a little bit unless I talk about the Mario Kart Direct, which might be happening the same day as this video or day before, day after, I don't know. But yeah, this will probably be the last topic on the video, the last video on the Nintendo Switch 2, and I'll probably be going back to some cartoon content, maybe some anime, some news content, and everything like that. So anyways, let's get right into it. So starting things off with the Nintendo Switch 2, the console will be $450. Obviously you get the Switch, the dock, the Joy-Cons, which are attached to the console, and you get a grip which you can put the Joy-Cons in or attach them to. So that's everything you get with that, I think. And there's also the Nintendo Switch 2 bundle, which will help some people save some money. It'll be $500, but you also get a copy of Mario Kart World. Now, why is that important? Why are people saying to get the bundle? Well, if you think about this price and you break it down, the Nintendo Switch 2 is $450. The bundle is $500. So that means Mario Kart is part of that extra $50 that's adding onto the price. And why is that good? Well, Mario Kart World is $80. I've talked about it already. A lot of people have talked about it. Mario Kart World is quite expensive for a video game, especially a video game like Mario Kart, but who knows what kind of content is in Mario Kart. It could be amazing. Who knows? But at the moment, before the Direct, it's a lot of money for the content that they've shown so far. But the bundle, I think if I was getting the console, I think the bundle is definitely the best deal. I'm still on the fence about getting the console right now, just because I have a lot of stuff that I need to play. So I don't need this console right now. And as I've mentioned before, unless they release something that I really want, I don't think I'm getting this console. Or maybe they'll do like a discount or something, or some kind of deal that might push me to buy it, but otherwise I don't really need it right now. I don't really want one right now. It's just kind of like, you need to give me something for myself to make me want to buy it. So for me, that's always Pokemon. I'm expecting Pokemon Generation 10 to come to the Nintendo Switch 2. Probably the Nintendo Switch as well. That'll get me to buy it. Maybe another Kirby in the Forgotten Land if they did like a sequel to that. I know they're doing the DLC, but maybe if they were doing like a sequel or something for that, that would be pretty cool. So it just really depends. I like Fire Emblem, but not enough to buy a console. You know, maybe like Genshin Impact, but that's a free game. So it's like you're spending $450 to play a free game that you can play elsewhere. But Nintendo Switch 2 is definitely where I want to play Genshin Impact if it does come to the system. It's just, there are things to think about price-wise, and I'm sure you have your own things that maybe would make you want to buy it. Maybe like a new Zelda game or a new 3D Mario game. Maybe that would make you want the console more. A little expensive, but, you know, some people, they'll find a way to play their favorite video games. So right now we have the Nintendo Switch 2 at $450. We have the Nintendo Switch 2 bundle, which you can get for $500, and Mario Kart World, which is very expensive, for $80. Who knows how much content's in it? We'll see next week. But at the moment, a lot of money. Moving on, you have your Nintendo Switch 2, you have Mario Kart World. You like the Joy-Cons, but not enough to play them on the console itself or in the grip. You want something a little bit better, something more comfortable, something bigger. You want a Pro controller. Well, Nintendo has released a new Pro Controller, the Pro Controller, Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller for the Nintendo Switch 2. Looks a little bit different. Looks pretty nice. It's $80. Now, I think that's a lot of money. I'm not really into controllers. My first controller was actually my Pro Controller for my Nintendo Switch. So, just kind of think about that. That's my first controller. For the Wii, I just use the Wiimotes. I know some people had the Pro Controller for that. For the Wii U, I just use the gamepad. So, that was my first like standard traditional controller. It's very comfortable. It's very nice. I did notice that it started to drift, but that was probably more so on me. Played a lot of Smash Bros. A lot of moving the sticks around. If you move the stick harder, the move hits harder. Those are the rules. So that Pro Controller started to drift, and I had to get another one. Sometimes they have good deals on the Pro Controller. Like you can get the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller and I think Super Mario Odyssey or something together as a bundle. That's a pretty good deal. And then if you already have the game, I guess you could share the code or something with a friend. So, you have that to think about. But I think that Pro Controller was around like $60. Or at least like on sale, it was around like $50, $60. Which isn't too bad for a controller that you're going to be using over and over for a very long time. This Pro Controller, I don't think I'm going to get it unless it's on sale. You can use your Pro Controller from the original system on the Nintendo Switch 2 because Nintendo's not crazy. They know that having such an expensive controller, everyone's not going to buy it, and also it would look kind of scummy if they were to be like, hey, you can't use this controller, you have to buy a completely new controller for this system. So do whatever you want, I guess, but I'll be keeping my Pro Controller. It works fine and everything. I'm sure they have a way, I guess like the big thing that's different is the C button, but I'm sure they have a way for you to access that through a menu. I noticed there are screenshots going around that Nintendo posted of the Nintendo Switch 2 menu, and there's a C button icon, I believe, on the main screen. So you probably can access game chat that way. You just press, like, let's say you're in the middle of Mario Kart World, and you're having a really fun session. The race ends. You press the home button, and then you go down to the bottom and click on the C icon, and there you go. You're in game chat. So you don't need a new controller. That's all I'm trying to say. But okay, you have your Switch, you have your Mario Kart World, you have your Pro Controller, but the Nintendo Switch 2, it's a very different and new system. You want something to help you kind of understand, like there's like magnets or something in it now. You don't know how the magnets work. How do you remove the Joy-Con, Well, you can get Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour or Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and that's going to be $10, and it's this game where you can explore around within the console or within the Joy-Con, and it has like these mini games and stuff that you can play, and just showing you how some of the technology for the system works, like the mouse controls and all that, and how the magnets are attached to the system. It seems like a pretty cool idea. I saw a lot of people upset that this costs money. I don't know. I just don't care that much. I don't know if that's like the best argument to present. I just don't care that much. Like $10 isn't a lot of money. I agree that it should have been free, but $10 isn't a lot of money, and you also don't have to buy it if you're not interested in it. I think a lot of people just seem to think like companies are like forcing you to buy this. You don't have to buy it if you don't want it. It could be a great game, it could be a bad game, who knows. I think they should include a game with the console, but including a game with the console can also like devalue it. So, let's say you could get Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour for like a set period when you buy the console, and then after that it's paid. Well, some people might be like, hey, this game was free. I'm not going to pay for this. This game was free. It's not worth $10. So Nintendo is like one of those companies that's kind of like, they very much like value their products. I believe some former Nintendo employees kind of talked about that. Like Nintendo like finds value in their products, and they don't want to like devalue them by doing this. And Reggie had to really push, the former president of Nintendo of America, he had to really push to get Wii Sports to be a pack-in title for the Nintendo Wii. And I believe it was only in America. It wasn't in like Japan or anything like that. So I think that Wii Sports was a great game, but I don't think that it's something that's worth however many dollars. I don't think I would have paid for Wii Sports. It's a fun game, but it's kind of just like a game just showing you how the motion controls work. And I guess that's similar to Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is showing you how these things work. But again, don't have to buy it. It's an optional purchase. So we have Mario Kart World. We have Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, We have a few games to play, but, Mario Kart's a little bit like more of a casual game. You're playing with your friends or something like that. You want to play something by yourself. You want something that's you haven't really seen on Nintendo. You only play Nintendo, so you're not seeing like all these other experiences. So you want to try something that seemed fairly popular. So you're going to pick up Cyberpunk 2077. It is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on the launch date, and that's going to cost you $70. I'm not really going to break much down here. You just wanted another game to play. I saw the Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime, and it was good. It was alright, little fast pacing, but that's all really I have to say about Cyberpunk. People that have kind of like really looked at the footage and people that were at the event said it looks really good on Nintendo Switch 2, so there you go. Now, moving on, you have Mario Kart, you have Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and you have Cyberpunk, but you were also a big fan of the Nintendo Switch, and you played Zelda Breath of the Wild, and you're one of those people that just like truly loved it. But let's say you ended up losing your physical copy. So you have to pick it up again, and hey, Nintendo is re-releasing it for Nintendo Switch 2 with some updated, graphics, and just like the way the game runs, it runs better on Nintendo Switch 2. So you get that, and it also comes with some extra features, such as the Zelda Notes, which is like Siri for Zelda or Google Maps, and it tells you where to find shrines and Korok seeds and all that stuff. A lot of things you might have missed during the original game. But if you were to get Tears of the Kingdom instead, there's a feature where you can share your creations with other people via QR code. So you can pick up either one of the Zelda titles. Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition apparently is $90. Now, I don't know if that's the UK price or if that's the US price, but when I looked it up, I believe 2 different websites said $90. But, hey, let's say you did lose your original copy, but you have a digital copy. So you can upgrade that for $20 instead. Now that sounds a little bit better than $90. Actually, that sounds a lot better than $90. So you do have that option for some games, and some of the upgrade packs will be cheaper depending on, I guess, what's included. So I guess if it's like a lot of new content, then it'll be $20. But if it's just like performance or something like that, it'll be $10. I'm not sure if that's really been confirmed yet. I think someone translated the Japanese prices, and that's what they came up with, but I'm not sure if they've announced any US or UK prices for the upgrade packs yet. But let's say you want to pick Mario Party up down the line, and don't worry, you're not buying Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV. You're not buying that at launch or whenever it comes out. You're not buying that. But you did want the camera just to play that. You also want to, do game chat. You want to be on screen with your friends, so you want the Nintendo Switch 2 camera. Well, the Nintendo Switch 2 camera is $50. Now, I don't know if I really want the camera. I think it's a cool idea, but I just wonder how much would I use that. It could be like funny or something to be on camera, but I don't play Mario Party. I'm not sure any of the games that I really like would use the camera function, or if they did, in a way that I would really care about. So I don't really want the camera, but I'm sure people will find like some cool ways to use the camera. Like, what if someone did like a show, like a podcast or something, completely on game chat? That would be pretty cool. But for myself, I don't know if I really want to use the camera at all, or if I really want to get the camera. I think that if you're a very like social gamer, you're playing a lot of Mario Party, the camera might be like right up your alley. But I just don't know. I don't think I have a good setup for the camera, but I think it can pick you up. I think one of the cameras can pick up. I saw something in someone's, I think it was in the Direct, and someone had mentioned it, because I didn't notice this. I watched a few Direct reactions, but I didn't notice this when I watched the Direct myself. If you're playing Mario Party, one camera can pick up 4 different people. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. But, yeah, I don't have any use for this, so. Moving on. Let's say you have the original Nintendo Switch Online, but hey, you saw GameCube is coming. You want to play F-Zero, you want to play The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, you want to play Soul Calibur 2. Well, you have to upgrade your Nintendo Switch Online. Instead of paying $20 per year, you're going to be paying $50 per year. So, originally when the Nintendo Switch Online came out, it was free, of course, like a trial period. And then they had like the whole family plan thing. I joined a family plan because like people online were like just having family plans. Like you could just join and everything. And I was like, hey, I'll pay and everything. But as time went on, like I got kicked from the group or something like that. And I was like, hey, what's going on? And then I got re-added. And then I was trying to contact the person like, hey, what's going on? Because I think it like the online like ran out or something. And I didn't get a response. So I had to purchase my own online, which isn't horrible because it's just $20. But you definitely save more if you do like a family plan and like multiple people are paying part of the price, or someone's just paying for everyone and then you like switch off each time. But yeah, that's going to cost you $50. That's a lot of money. I do think that if I ever upgrade the Nintendo Switch Online to the expansion pack, I will play a few things, maybe like a month or two, and I'll probably cancel it after that. I mean, I can cancel it immediately anyway, so, just pay for a year and that might be it, because some of the things I want to try, and I guess really like the only few things I want to try, are the Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I've heard good things about these games. One of my friends was going to lend me a copy of her game, but I just said no, or like hold on, just because like I don't want to break anyone's stuff. I don't think I'm going to break it, but it's a very expensive game, and then I don't want to have to spend like $100 to replace her copy. But that would be a cool game to try. Also, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Ike's first game, I want to check that out. And I guess I know they offer like some DLC as part of the expansion pack, just to help people, like incentivize them to get the online. So I think maybe Mario Kart, I'm not sure if that's included or not, but if you know someone with the Mario Kart DLC, it's just like if you're playing online together, I think you just have access to it at that point. So doesn't really matter. But Animal Crossing, I know Animal Crossing had an expansion where you can like decorate the villagers' houses and everything. Now, I'm not super into that, but I would like to try it at least. But I don't think that would be something that I would personally love. So there's not much value in the expansion pack for me. I know they have like the original Paper Mario. I've never played that. I like to play that. Some of the GBA Mario and Luigi titles. There's a few things there for me, but not a lot. And then also just kind of like, I have games already. So it's awesome that they're offering these old games and stuff like that. But I'm almost at a point where I'm like, if it's not in a case that I own, or if it's not on my system, something that I paid for individually, probably shouldn't be playing it, because it's just kind of a distraction and there's just so many video games to play. Also, I mentioned Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I've never played Pokemon Stadium, or if I have, I don't remember. Maybe if someone had that game or something like that. But haven't really played Pokemon Stadium, so I'd like to try that as well. Some of these older Pokemon games get praised. I've never played some of them, so I definitely would like to check that out. So you have your Nintendo Switch 2, but you want to leave the house. You want to go hang out at a friend's house. You want to go, I don't know, you just want to go on a ride with your friends, and you want to play your Switch in the car. Maybe you're going on vacation. You want to play your Switch on the airplane or something, on the train. You need a case. You don't want to drop it. The Nintendo Switch 2 is a huge system. Might not fit in your pocket anymore. You need a case. So the official case that's sold by Nintendo is $34. Maybe you can find a cheaper case out there. I'm not sure. I don't know where I bought my case. I don't take my Switch out a lot, but I do have a case. And it can carry quite a few games and stuff. So it's a nice case. I prefer cases that are like super tight on the system. This one's a little bit like a bigger case, so I don't know if companies have released cases like that, but I'm sure they have. Like maybe something where you can just kind of like slide the Nintendo Switch 2 in, and then like use like a flap to close the case, and then that's it. Like I want something like that. I think that would be nice. I know there was that case, was it for the Lite or something like that, where it almost felt like you were playing like a DS, because they had like a clamshell or something on it. So that was pretty nice. So you have your Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, and you want to play some GameCube games, but you don't want to use your Pro Controller. You want to use the Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube controller. You want to play these games how they were intended with a GameCube controller. Now, I did some research on this. I couldn't find a price for this controller yet, but I saw someone say that it was $75. I found an official one for $71. So let's just say Nintendo bumps the price up to $80, The Pro Controller for the Nintendo Switch 2 is $80. The GameCube controller might be $80. That is my speculation. That's a lot of money. I've never had a GameCube. I don't really know that much about a GameCube, but a lot of people swear by the GameCube controller, especially for something like Smash Bros. For whatever reason, people love using the GameCube controller. I actually just watched a video, and someone was saying like, hey, the Pro Controller is just as good as the GameCube controller, and then like they even went on to say like, yeah, they like the Pro Controller better than the GameCube controller. So it really depends on what you like. So Nintendo Switch 2, you're getting one. There's a lot of video games coming. You're expecting a lot of third-party games. You're expecting like, hey, Genshin Impact, GTA 6, Monster Hunter Wilds. You're expecting all these games to come to the system, and you're gonna need a lot of storage. Maybe you can't get physical for everything. Maybe you don't have the space. Maybe you prefer digital. You're gonna need an SD card. Well, the Nintendo Switch 2 doesn't accept the original micro SD cards. It needs an express card, which is used for better speed and everything. And let's say you want 1 terabyte of storage, just to be sure. You don't want any problems. You don't want to say, hey, there's a Fortnite update coming out and you can't update your Nintendo Switch 2 for some reason because you're just out of space. So you want the 1 terabyte one. So I was doing research on express cards, and I searched it. I had SD card, I had Express in the title and everything, and I just got regular SD cards. I did click on a website that it was like, hey, this is the first micro SD Express card for Nintendo Switch with 1 terabyte of storage, and I saw the price, and it was $200. That's almost half of the console price. I've been trying to get a SD card with 1 terabyte of storage for a while now, because 256 is cheap, 500 is cheap, but 1 terabyte for the regular SD card is around like $80 or something, like $70 or $80. I'm sure some people are like, that's nothing, I can pay that. To me, that's a lot of money, but I'm running out of space on my Nintendo Switch. I've had to archive some stuff. I've had to delete some stuff. which I'm sure is normal for some people. You know, like I think one of my friends doesn't even have like an SD card. Like she just like deletes stuff, archives stuff. So, you know, you definitely can do that. That's definitely an option. I personally don't want to do that. I like having everything on the system at once. Who knows what could happen, so I like to have stuff downloaded on my system, but that's just me. The SD cards for the Nintendo Switch 2, the 1TB express ones, definitely very expensive, definitely something I would wait on, and I saw someone that said this, and I agree with it. For the Nintendo Switch 2, at the moment, they're just going to stick to the 256 gigabytes that are included on the system. To me, that's a lot. I've seen some people saying that's not a lot because I guess like PlayStation gives you like a terabyte or something immediately. I don't know how expensive that is. That is nice that they give you that much, but I think the games are a lot bigger on that system, and that might justify having a 1TB storage system on the console. But yeah, I mean, I think for that I just stick with the internal storage on the Nintendo Switch 2 at the moment. Anyways, yeah, that's everything that you want to order for your Nintendo Switch 2. You know, you want to have the console, but you want the bundle to save a little bit of money. You want a Pro Controller, you want a few games, you want to play Zelda again, you want the camera to eventually play Mario Party, you want the online to play the GameCube games, you want a case in case you're traveling, you want a GameCube controller so you can play the online games, and you want a micro SD card express with 1TB of storage so you never run out of space on the system. So I added all of this up, and it is $1,244. That's a lot of money. Now, I understand that people obviously aren't going to get all of this stuff. Maybe if you're like a content creator or something and you get like a lot of views and stuff and you have a lot of money, you can just buy whatever you want. I understand like a normal person is probably only going to get maybe the Switch, maybe the bundle and the controller. You know, it just really depends. It depends. It's your money. You know, some people will spend more, some people will spend less. If I was doing this, I personally would just get the bundle and leave it at that. And then maybe stick to some digital games or some games from my original Nintendo Switch until the prices drop. But that was just me going through the prices for the Nintendo Switch 2. Out of the list that I created, what would you buy? What would you not buy? You know, what's too expensive? What price is just right? You know, just tell me everything. What would you do if you were gearing up for the Nintendo Switch launch in June? What would you buy? Just tell me. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you like my content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. The links are below. I'm SirMo11. See you next time, and peace out. If I'm being completely honest, I think Nintendo is in for a rude awakening, and I don't think that every Nintendo fan or every video game fan is going to be okay with the prices of all of these games, accessories, the console. I think one or two things would be good to accept, and if you're just getting one or two things, that's completely fine. But if you're picking up a lot of these things, these prices start to add up, and I definitely think maybe some people might agree with me. They might start getting out of gaming, or they might start playing their older games more. We'll see how this goes, but I don't really see this going too well for good old Nintendo.